In the journey we call life, the people who cross our paths often play roles far more important than we initially realize. Some appear gently, like a soft breeze that soothes and comforts, while others arrive with the force of a storm, shaking our foundations, testing our patience, and compelling us to question beliefs we once thought unshakable. Yet, whether they arrive in calm or chaos, every encounter without exception carries a purpose. Even when the meaning is not immediately clear, it is always present, waiting to be discovered. Each person who steps into our life brings a lesson, sometimes wrapped in joy and inspiration, other times in challenge and discomfort. This concept is not new, yet it is something we so easily forget in the rush of daily living. If we allow ourselves a pause to reflect, it becomes evident that the people we meet, whether through deliberate choice or sheer coincidence, have something to offer us. Surprisingly, it is not only the harmonious relationships that teach us, often it is the most difficult encounters that shape us in the deepest ways. Life, in its quiet but profound wisdom, tends to place us in situations and with individuals who provoke discomfort, not as punishment, but as an invitation to grow. These moments might teach us patience, reveal what truly matters, or point toward wounds within us that still need healing. What at first looks like a burden may actually be an opportunity disguised in challenging clothing. When we stop and truly reflect on the people who enter our lives, we begin to see them as teachers in disguise. They hold up a mirror that reflects the parts of ourselves we might otherwise ignore. Their presence helps us confront inner wounds, broaden our perspective, and emerge stronger. This isn't about assigning blame for our struggles to another person. Rather, it's about recognizing that every human being we meet has, in some way, the potential to influence our transformation. Life becomes richer when we start viewing others not as coincidences, but as integral parts of a grand design aimed at our personal and spiritual development. Every connection, whether fleeting or lasting, uplifting or uncomfortable, becomes a building block in our evolution. Even the smallest gestures, the quiet silences, the words left unspoken, carry meaning when we are attentive. Too often, the noise of daily obligations blinds us to the lessons contained in these encounters. But when we practice presence, when we truly listen, observe, and remain open, we begin to notice the subtle ways life speaks to us. Sometimes it is through the warmth of a smile. Other times it is through tension in a conversation or an unexpected disagreement. Both the pleasant and the unpleasant moments carry threads of meaning that weave into our story. It's profoundly transformative to understand that the people we meet are never random occurrences. Even the shortest exchanges and the most difficult relationships are imbued with purpose. Every interaction, whether in deep conversation or a brief crossing of paths, offers a stepping stone in our journey of self-discovery. Adopting this perspective turns life into a tapestry, rich with meaning. Even struggles begin to look different. Instead of mere obstacles, they become training grounds for strength, compassion, and resilience. The key is to recognize that each person is part of an ongoing process, like individual puzzle pieces that eventually form a bigger, clearer picture. This requires a willingness to look beyond the surface. Sometimes, what appears as inconvenience or even conflict is actually a lesson in patience, empathy, or forgiveness. And sometimes it is the people we least expect, those from different backgrounds with worldviews that challenge our own, who leave the deepest marks on our hearts. If we think back to moments when someone entered our life and altered it, whether for better or worse, it becomes clear that these encounters shape us in profound ways. Often those who challenge us the most are the ones who leave us with the greatest growth. This doesn't mean those relationships are easy. In fact, they often test our limits, forcing us to confront aspects of ourselves we'd prefer to ignore. But with time, we can look back and see them as milestones in our personal evolution. Another truth is that every person acts as a mirror. When someone irritates us, they might be reflecting something unresolved within us. When someone inspires us, it's often because they mirror qualities we hold but haven't yet fully expressed. In both cases, these interactions help reveal who we are and who we could become. In many ways, the people who appear in our life are like messengers arriving exactly when they're meant to. We may not always be ready to receive their message, but it waits patiently until we are. These messages might come as a deep conversation, a moment of silence, or even a conflict we'd rather avoid. If we choose to reflect instead of react, we may realize these moments aren't accidents. They are lessons delivered in disguise. The relationships we form are never fixed. They evolve over time. Some grow deeper and stronger, while others drift apart. Accepting the impermanence of these connections allows us to appreciate them more fully in the moment. It also teaches us that clinging too tightly creates unnecessary suffering. This is where mindfulness becomes invaluable. By being fully present with the people in front of us, by listening without distraction, speaking with intention, and observing without judgment, we experience relationships in their fullness. We stop rushing through conversations or treating encounters as routine, and instead, we embrace them as opportunities to learn, share, and grow. Life is not a collection of isolated events. It is an interconnected story in which every person plays a role. Whether their presence lasts for years or minutes, each person is a chapter in our narrative. Every encounter, joyful, painful, or neutral, adds depth to our understanding of ourselves and others. Even difficult moments prepare us for the challenges ahead, shaping us into more adaptable and compassionate beings. Now think about those in your life who have left a lasting impression. They may not all be people who brought you joy. Some may have caused discomfort or even pain. Yet, if you look closely, those experiences likely taught you something about patience, resilience, or your own boundaries. They might have helped you discover parts of yourself you hadn't known before. Acknowledging the role each person has played in your journey helps reveal the invisible threads connecting all our experiences. We start to see that even the hardest moments were part of the same tapestry that contains our joys, victories, and moments of peace. And while relationships can be complicated, they remain some of the most beautiful parts of life. They serve as the building blocks for our growth, constantly offering new chances to reflect and realign with our true selves. Too often, however, we overlook these lessons when we're caught up in strong emotions, whether that's anger, infatuation, or fear. But when we pause and step back, we see that both the uplifting and the challenging encounters carry essential truths we need to learn. Some people arrive to inspire us, support us, and offer guidance just when we need it most. Others arrive to push us out of comfort, to challenge what we believe, and to force us to confront what we'd rather avoid. While these latter encounters can be uncomfortable, they are just as vital, sometimes even more so, for our development. Life's wisdom reminds us there are no coincidences in the people we meet. Whether the relationship lasts a lifetime or a single conversation, it still holds significance. Even the briefest meeting can contain a seed of change. Nothing is ever truly wasted in the fabric of our lives. Every word, every gesture, every connection has the potential to contribute to our understanding of ourselves and the world. One of the most important truths to embrace is the impermanence of all things, including our relationships. There may have been times when you clung to certain connections, wishing they would last forever, fearing that their absence would leave an empty space in your life. Yet the wisdom found in impermanence teaches us that every bond, no matter how intense or comfortable, has its own natural beginning and ending. Relationships that once seemed unshakable can shift, evolve, or even dissolve. And this fluidity is not a failure. It is part of life's rhythm. When we cling, we often create unnecessary suffering. We attempt to control what was never meant to be permanent, holding on with closed fists rather than open hands. Letting go does not mean forgetting or dismissing the value of what was shared. It means releasing the need to trap it in time. By loosening our grip, we free ourselves to experience the beauty of each connection in the present moment, without the constant anxiety of preserving it forever. Some relationships arrive with such intensity that they leave us permanently altered. Others enter quietly, almost unnoticed, yet still manage to plant seeds of humility, patience, or kindness within us. Every connection, no matter how grand or subtle, acts as a mirror reflecting our inner world, our strengths, our wounds, our capacity to love, and our areas of growth. Often, the most unexpected relationships carry the greatest lessons. These are the connections that appear seemingly out of nowhere, as if placed in our path by some greater design. They arrive at the right time, sometimes when we feel lost, sometimes when we believe we have everything figured out, and they open our eyes to perspectives we never considered. The very unpredictability of these encounters is what makes them so powerful. Think about the moments when someone appeared unexpectedly in your life and left a deep impact. Perhaps they showed you a side of yourself you didn't know existed. Maybe they challenged a belief you held tightly, pushing you to expand your worldview. Or perhaps they quietly offered support during a difficult season without expecting anything in return. These are not random events. They are purposeful intersections designed to guide us toward greater self-awareness. It's also true that not all lessons come from those who stay in our lives for long periods. Sometimes the greatest growth comes from relationships that challenge us the most, especially when they test our patience or reveal our insecurities. These moments of discomfort are not there to punish us, but to help us see what still needs attention within ourselves. Our instinct is often to resist such challenges, to push away the people who provoke uncomfortable feelings. But when we instead lean in, examining our own reactions and questioning why we respond the way we do, we uncover hidden truths. We may find unhealed wounds from the past, or patterns of behavior that no longer serve us. Facing these truths can be painful, but it is exactly this discomfort that becomes the catalyst for growth. Difficult relationships act like emotional X-rays, exposing vulnerabilities we might not otherwise notice. At first, this exposure can feel threatening, but with time it becomes empowering, because once we see clearly, we can begin the work of healing. The same people who frustrate us can become our greatest teachers, showing us where patience, empathy, and forgiveness are most needed. When we realize this, we stop viewing others simply as obstacles or sources of conflict. Instead, we start recognizing them as mirrors, reflecting back both the beauty and the areas for growth within us. This perspective shift is transformative, turning what could have been resentment into an opportunity for self-discovery. Life also has a way of presenting patterns in our relationships. You might notice that you keep meeting people with similar traits, or that the same types of conflicts arise again and again. This repetition is not accidental. It's life's way of nudging you to pay attention. These recurring themes point toward lessons you have yet to fully embrace. Until you address the root cause, the pattern will continue to appear, each time offering another chance to grow. Within this process, forgiveness emerges as a crucial tool. Forgiveness is often misunderstood as condoning harmful behavior or pretending nothing happened. In truth, it is about releasing the emotional weight that keeps us tethered to the past. It's about freeing ourselves from the heavy chains of resentment so that we can walk forward with clarity and peace. When we choose to forgive, we reclaim our energy. We stop pouring it into reliving old wounds and start investing it into building the life we want. Forgiveness allows us to see the situation with fresh eyes, without the distortion of pain. And while forgiving others is powerful, learning to forgive ourselves is equally important. We are all works in progress, and holding on to guilt for past mistakes serves no purpose except to keep us stuck. It's worth noting that forgiveness does not require reconciliation. You can choose to release the emotional burden without inviting the other person back into your life. The act of forgiving is ultimately about your freedom, not theirs. It's about creating room in your heart for more love, more understanding, and more meaningful connections. Once we begin to release old wounds, something incredible happens. We open ourselves to deeper and more authentic relationships. We stop projecting past hurts onto present connections. We listen more openly, love more fully, and engage with others from a place of curiosity rather than defensiveness. As we evolve, we start to see more clearly that the people around us are reflections of our inner world. The way we react to someone, whether with admiration, annoyance, or indifference, reveals something about us. This awareness shifts our focus inward. Instead of blaming others for our emotions, we take responsibility for our inner state. This is liberating because it puts us in control of how we experience life. When we approach relationships with this mindset, we naturally begin to attract connections that are more aligned with who we truly are. People who resonate with our growth, values, and authenticity are drawn to us. These bonds are not about perfection, but about mutual respect and a shared desire to evolve together. This understanding leads to gratitude, not just for the easy relationships, but also for the challenging ones. Every person, whether they brought us comfort or discomfort, played a role in shaping the individual we are today. They each contributed a verse to the ongoing story of our lives. And as we come to terms with the fact that no encounter is wasted, we stop wishing certain experiences had never happened. Even the most painful relationships brought lessons we could not have learned otherwise. They forced us to dig deeper, to find strength we didn't know we had, and to cultivate compassion we might never have developed without those trials. If we look closely enough, we see that every connection, no matter its length or nature, has a purpose. Every conversation, every argument, every shared silence holds meaning. Life is constantly speaking to us through these interactions, guiding us toward the person we are meant to become. At its core, this realization is about trust. Trust that the people who enter our lives do so at the right time, for the right reasons, even if those reasons aren't immediately clear. Trust that we are capable of learning from each encounter, no matter how difficult. And trust that, by embracing the lessons, we are moving steadily toward a more authentic and fulfilled version of ourselves. When we truly understand that life is a series of arrivals and departures, we start to release the illusion of control. The flow of people into and out of our lives is not random. It is part of a larger tapestry that we may not yet see in full. And while it is natural to feel sadness when someone leaves, it is equally important to recognize the gifts they leave behind. Sometimes the impact of a relationship only becomes clear after it has ended. While we are in the midst of it, we might focus on the daily interactions, the small conflicts, or the shared routines. It is only when we step back, when the noise settles, that we can see the broader picture and the subtle ways we have been transformed. The absence itself becomes a teacher, inviting us to reflect on what remains within us after the other person is gone. There is a unique beauty in realizing that no one can ever truly be lost to us. Even if their physical presence fades, the influence they had, the lessons, the shared laughter, the moments of vulnerability, remain as threads woven into our being. We carry these threads forward, consciously or not, integrating them into the person we are becoming. This is why gratitude becomes such a powerful practice. It allows us to look at our past not as a collection of disappointments, but as a sacred library of experiences. Each relationship, whether harmonious or turbulent, contributed something valuable. Gratitude does not erase the pain, but it reframes it, allowing us to see even our struggles as stepping stones toward wisdom. Of course, embracing impermanence does not mean we stop caring deeply. It means we choose to be fully present with the people in our lives right now, knowing that every moment is unique and unrepeatable. We begin to savor conversations, to listen with genuine attention, to express love and appreciation without delay, because we understand that tomorrow is never promised in the way we imagine. This shift in perspective also changes how we approach conflict. Instead of letting pride or resentment build walls between us, we feel a greater urgency to resolve misunderstandings. We start valuing peace over being right, understanding that relationships are more precious than the ego's need to win. We learn to approach disagreements not as battles to be won, but as opportunities for deeper understanding. One of the most liberating realizations is that we are not responsible for controlling how others think or feel. We can influence, inspire, and support, but we cannot dictate another person's journey. Each individual is navigating their own path, shaped by their own experiences, wounds, and dreams. Accepting this frees us from the exhausting need to fix or save others, allowing us to love them as they are without conditions. This acceptance also applies to ourselves. Just as we cannot control others, we cannot expect ourselves to be flawless. There will be moments when we fall short, when we act from fear rather than love, when we fail to live up to our own ideals. These moments are not signs of weakness, they are evidence of our humanity. The goal is not to erase all mistakes, but to meet them with honesty, take responsibility, and choose differently next time. The journey of personal growth is deeply tied to our relationships. They are the testing ground for our values, the stage where our patience, compassion, and resilience are put into practice. Without these connections, both the uplifting and the challenging, we would have fewer opportunities to truly see ourselves. As we walk through life, we start to notice that our circle changes. People we once saw every day may drift away, while others unexpectedly step in to fill new roles. This natural reshaping of our relationships is not something to resist. It is a sign of evolution. Just as we outgrow certain habits or beliefs, We sometimes outgrow certain dynamics, and that's okay. It is not a rejection of the past, but an affirmation of the path ahead. When someone leaves our life, it doesn't necessarily mean the bond was a failure. In many cases, it means the purpose of that connection has been fulfilled. They played their role in our story, and now their path leads elsewhere. Understanding this brings peace because we can release them with love instead of resentment. There's a quiet strength in knowing how to let go with grace. It requires trust in the timing of life, trust in our own resilience, and trust that what is meant for us will never require desperate clinging. Letting go does not diminish love. In fact, it often deepens it. We begin to love with fewer conditions, allowing others the freedom to grow in their own direction. And as we cultivate this openness, we create space for new relationships to emerge, connections that reflect the person we are now rather than the person we used to be. These new bonds often arrive as gentle confirmations that life continues to provide exactly what we need at the right time. Over time, we come to see that the true value of a relationship lies not in its duration, but in its depth. A single meaningful conversation can leave a greater impact than years of shallow interaction. It is the quality of presence, the willingness to be real, that makes a bond sacred. This awareness helps us choose more intentionally. We start investing our energy into relationships that nourish us, that encourage mutual growth, that honor authenticity. At the same time, we learn to step back from dynamics that consistently drain us or require us to betray our own values. This is not selfishness, it is self-respect. In the end, our relationships are the living fabric of our lives. They are where joy is multiplied, where pain is shared, where lessons are exchanged. Through them, we learn who we are, what we stand for, and what we are capable of becoming. Every hello, every goodbye, every moment in between is part of the intricate dance of connection that defines our human experience. So we walk forward with open hands and an open heart, ready to welcome the next person who will teach us, challenge us, or walk beside us for however long our paths align. We cherish the ones still here, honor the ones who have gone, and trust that every encounter, past, present, and future, is exactly as it should be.